So romance is one of the more popular genres in anime to this day, and though it is sometimes not explicitly stated in the genre or subgenres of the anime itself, more often than not, there's always going to be some form of romance in the anime. So whether you like it or not, you're bound to come across a show that has at least some form of romance in it. Now, for me personally, I wouldn't go out of my way to search for any romance animes because it's just not my cup of tea, but I wouldn't mind if it were incorporated into the anime I was watching. But as with everything else, there's always an exception. As I stated before, I don't mind having romance in my anime, unless it's done a certain way. And that certain way is letting the main character win because he or she is the main character of the show. Now I know it may come across to some of you that I'm really salty because I've just watched an anime where my best girl loses, but I can assure you that's completely not the case. For example, in Quintessential Quintuplets, me personally, I'm rooting for Nino and Itsuki, but if neither of the two of them end up with the main character in the end, I honestly wouldn't mind. Though I'm not a big fan of the other three, they've still done their fair share to earn what they get in the end. And I know it may sound confusing right now, which is why I'm gonna talk about it more. And it wouldn't be one of my videos if we didn't talk about something without giving an example, right? And today I have two perfect examples to demonstrate my point. And so the first example I'm gonna give is the pet girl of Sakurasou. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend you to skip to this timeline because there's gonna be massive spoilers, though there's not gonna be anything you find surprising after the 5th episode. But let me get this straight first. I don't mind the drama aspect, the slice of life, and the comedy aspect of the show. I find it pretty good in general, but what really pissed me off was just the romance part of it, cause I just don't understand what the main character is thinking in general. Now, as someone who's watching from a neutral perspective and not rooting for any parties in the show because I just find none of them interesting enough, why the fuck is the main character choosing Sheena over the other girl? And I know Sheena fans are probably rolling in their bed right now or punching the air being like, oh, she's so cute, look at her doing this, she's so fucking cute. What about the other girl? The other girl's just a vanilla character. Yes, I totally get that. That's a viewer perspective, which is why I don't understand if any of those traits are in the anime itself. Why would the main character go for compared to the other girl? It's just like choosing between two girls who one of them treats me really nicely and checks all the boxes of a good girlfriend. Obviously I'm gonna go for her, right? Now compare that to a girl who's like, oh, I ran out of roll cakes, guess you're gonna have to get one for me. Oh, I ran out of clothes, guess you have to gonna do my laundry for me. Oh, I just woke up, guess you have to put on my clothes for me. Like, why the fuck would I even want a girl like that? And if you think that it's only a few scenes that Sheena acts this way, oh boy, are you in for a surprise, cause guess what? It's basically the whole fucking anime. Put yourself in the main character's shoes. In what situation would you choose Sheena over the other girl? Which really pissed me off because even though I'm watching from a neutral perspective, those choices the main character makes are just plain idiocy, and I can't even fathom why he makes those decisions. Like the one time where the main character and the other girl were on a date and he found out that Sheena was missing, and he just said, you know what, fuck this date, and he just ditched her and went to look for her. And when he found her, they were like crying, hugging and shit, and Sheena was saying some bullshit stuff to get sympathy from the viewers. And of course, if I was a Sheena fan, I would be happy because she finally spoke out. She told him her feelings, and you might find it cute, but it really does put a bad taste in my mouth because number one, she's not doing anything for the main character. What she's doing is gaining sympathy from the viewers. And I know it sounds confusing and you might think, what's the difference? Is there any problem? There obviously is, because just think of it this way. If today I'm depressed because maybe my family member passed away, or maybe I didn't get into my university of choice, and therefore I'm depressed, I'm sad. And at this point, I have two girls who I'm really close with, and both of them have feelings for me. So one of the girls, seeing that I'm depressed because she loves me, she's now depressed as well, and she stays locked up in home in her room. She's not texting me, she's not doing anything. And the other girl, instead of being depressed, she comes over to my house, she's comforting me, she's sitting by my side, she's telling me it's gonna be okay, all those good stuff. And if I were to make a decision to choose between both these girls on a later day, obviously I would choose the latter girl, right? Because I know both of them care about me, but she decided to put her feelings aside and come help me out instead. Like, imagine being depressed and one of your best friends who you've relied so much on is being depressed as well and not helping you out. How would you feel? You would feel helpless, right? in that situation, I would be like, yo, fuck your feelings, you're not the one who's supposed to be depressed here, I am, so come help me out so I can get my spirits up again and we both can not be depressed together. But to a third party, it may seem that the former is the more attractive one because, oh, obviously she cares so much about you that she's depressed because you are depressed. Like, whatever, I don't care about that, because obviously what I want when I'm feeling down is someone there to comfort me, not someone who's feeling down as I'm feeling down and not help me out at all, which just really frustrates me because Sheena is obviously the former and the other girl is obviously the latter, but the main character still chose Sheena over the other girl, which under no circumstances should ever happen. Which brings me to my second example, which is Josee, the tiger and the fish. And thank God I wasn't watching this in the cinemas, because I swear to God I would have walked out at one point in the show. And there's really not much to talk about it anymore. It's basically the same thing. The main character, or what's her name, Josee, I think her name was Josee. Anyway, she was basically the same thing, Sheena, but even worse. Like, holy fuck, if I were to choose between this girl and the other girl who works at the diving store, you bet I'm choosing the girl who works at the diving store 10 out of 10 times, because Josee is just so fucking annoying, and as you can guess, I really hate her. I really hate her from the start, just because she was annoying. She was more annoying than a tsundere, but that's not the point. The point is, how does she even get to be with the main character even though she's done absolutely nothing? And I get it, sometimes in real life you see a girl, though she's really nice to you, you don't like her, that's fine, that's completely fine. But in an anime, you're actually trying to do this when you've built up the other character so much by letting her do so much good, and you don't let her get with the main character in the end. Like, I know the girl who works in the diving store, she's just a supporting character, she's nothing much, she doesn't have much screen time, but even in that short screen time she gets, she's basically dedicating most of her time to help the main character out, which is why it's really frustrating when she loses, because although Josee gets that much screen time, she basically does nothing compared to the other girl. And obviously at one point they're gonna argue because they both like the main character. The diving girl was saying like, you don't know this, you don't know nothing about him, because obviously she doesn't take the time to know him, although they've known each other for I guess months at the point. She puts in no effort to get to know him more, so obviously she's gonna say that. And what Josee said was my favorite sentence of the whole show. She said, even though I don't know as much of those little things that you do, my love is still gonna be way more than what you can give him. Holy round of applause, right? Round of fucking applause. Like, I was watching it on Discord with my friends, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm out of here. When you guys are done, just call me back. But if I was at the cinema at the time, I would just be like, you know what, I'm out of here, get me out of here, because this is fucking bullshit and should never happen at all. Should never even happen in the first place, because what have you done to deserve his love? I'll say it again, I'm not a fan of both parties. I'm not particularly rooting for anyone, but I don't hate anyone other than Josee. Maybe I hate her a bit more after what she said, but specifically because I'm not rooting for either party, I know that the other girl obviously deserves to be with the main character in the end, because she's checked off all of the boxes. And Josee, on the other hand, is just trying to gain sympathy from the viewers. Like, oh, my backstory is sad, my past is sad, my grandma passed away, I'm gonna get evicted from this house. Oh, but guess what? I'm gonna tell stories, and guess what? Nobody's listening. And of course, when nobody's listening to a story, the main character is obviously listening to it. If you were in the main character's shoes, you'll be like, oh, nobody's listening? Okay, I'll sit here and listen because I'm a good person. That's fine. But as a viewer, what you would think is, oh, that's so sad, nobody's listening to stories, but the main character is there, obviously he has feelings for her. Oh, she just got evicted from house, obviously the main character has to be with her so they can be together, and she has a house to stay. It's just fucking bullshit. Like, in both these cases, there should be no businesses in both these female leads to be with the male lead, but obviously because they are the main female character, they get to be with the main male character, because obviously it's in the script, it's scripted. And if you watch any romance animes where there's a wife war or a husband war, you know that to end up with the main character, you know that they have to put in the effort, or just at least show that they put in the effort. Which just brings me back to my first example. If in the end neither Itsuki or Nino ends up with the main character in the end, I wouldn't mind, cause Miku, Ishika and Yotsuba have all done their fair share and deserve to be with the main character, which is why I won't be that pissed off if neither Itsuki or Nino end up with the main character. And so yeah, that's basically my rant in general. And obviously I've rooted for the other party before, like in Re:Zero I was rooting for Emilia instead of Rem, surprise surprise. But main takeaway for this video is, if you want to do it, don't make it as obvious as both this show, and that's about it. See ya.